I'm going to emphasize things today that we will never emphasize even 20% as much as we are today, because it really doesn't bear repeating that much. Our whole central process for learning new shit is going to be breaking it into small sections and finishing as you go, and allowing for this initial stage to the process where you can totally play out of rhythm, and it's the part where you're like memorizing the dance steps, going over what you're going to be doing when you go to play the song. When you're doing that, that's okay to look at the page, it's okay to play out of rhythm, just being like, okay, this goes. And then like, if you have to pause, you don't feel like you have to go back to the beginning. At first it's just like a grocery list. And we equated that to like learning the dance steps. And then we switched to the now I'm playing headspace, which is completely a feel thing, the guessing headspace. So you never want to be on both at once. And that's what's intuitive, is just play the whole thing, hope we get better at it. So we're making a point to start with stuff you pretty much already know today. And then, when it came to memorizing chord names, where we started talking about, like, right around 1 minute into your video, we talked about G from the song you learned. The one you were learning is just like one of these mini, Disarmed by the Pumpkins, or like Sweet Home Alabama, where it's like you pin these two fingers here and do a bunch of shit around them, which is a guitar thing we do. But those are all versions of chords that there are normal versions of. And we're going to learn the normal ones because they'll come up more often. So this G right here, we talked about how you could just go like that also. This G is the most common of all of them, and it's also just called G versus all those other ones in the first song. It's called like, this is like A sus4 minor 9 or something like that. So G and A. Those are the first two chords we decided to learn the name of. And the way we were thinking about A is like no pinky, scooch back, so the whole thing's like bunched up there. And thumb playing defense on the 6th string, so when you're strumming, you're actually hitting a click. No. Awesome. So, hey, give yourself a 2-chord quiz on G and A, and then let's put that aside. The other two were E minor, and this is what led to, I have to cut my fingernails, and minor chord, or EM, sounds dark versus bright. Cool, so part 2 was E minor, and then the only completely new chord you learned was C like that, which is another one where it's like thumb defense, and it was like, third part of that string, second part of the string, open. So there you go. The way to check, like, if something sounds ill, just go one string at a time, and it'll jump out what was happening. Awesome. And then we talked about with your ring finger bending and coming straight in at the string, so that you're not touching the string beneath it or bending it, which is the same. But that's the hard part for learning this chord initially, because you can totally do this. One can totally do that. Also, you want to make sure your palm's not touching the instrument to the extent that it's muting the first string. It's fine if we're grabbing the instrument in like this C shape, but when you do it, you want your, this part of your hand to be touching the instrument versus creating like a lot of distance back here or anything, which is more or less what you're already doing. I think there was one time we went to C and we got, and that was your palm touching the first string, so there's just like, a difference of 1/8 of an inch between that and that. So just back to what we're actually doing, E minor and C. So, hey, stop now and just be like, which one's this? Which one's this? Which one's this? Which one's this? Back to the first section, and this is me giving you the geography test, where we're randomizing the order. We had G and A, or G major and A major. So hey, here's your part 1 geography test. Which one is this? Which one is this? Which one is this? Which one is this? So, now we're going to do a big old part 1 and part 2 combined test, starting at the end. First I'm going to go through them in order. There's G and A, which is like our part 1, and then there was E minor and C, that was our part 2. And C we learned because of this being a C chord, and we decided that we'd go with like some of the easier to memorize name chords that are in a million songs. So yeah, E minor and C. Cool, so which one's this? Which one's this? And if you need more time, pause. Which one's this? Which one's this? which one's this, which one's this. You get the idea. Just do the same thing to yourself, and the whole memorizing the names of the chords process won't actually seem difficult anymore. Yeah, so this was the C power chord. We talked about C sharp, which is in your second song, just meaning you scoot one up. So sharp and flat totally just means you scoot one up, you scoot one back. So go ahead and learn your, and even if it doesn't sound exactly like the song, it'll still sound like music that someone would play. And the point is just learn those chords and then totally go back and do the other version also, of course. Awesome, and it's an unusual strumming pattern, but the strumming pattern in your first song is a total normal one that's in a million songs. So right at like 6 minutes, we're starting to talk about that song. So the thing you were doing is down, up, down, up, down, up, which is everyone's natural inclination at first. We actually want to be going down, down, up, down, up. We're harnessing like our momentum. So it's like my hand's always just doing this. And then it's just a matter of whether I strum or not. And if you can hear that rhythm, it totally doesn't matter, but it behooves me as a teacher to tell you that what we're doing there is there's this like concepts of downbeat and upbeat. Like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and if I was just strumming, the downbeat's the numbers, the upbeat's the ands. So that's what we were doing here, is we were going 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and... So that's why we went down, down, up, down, up. I was playing on 1, 2, and 4, and... So we didn't play on beat 3. So yeah, there you go. But the good news is, you don't have to count and shit. This is just kind of like, why am I doing this strumming pattern? Because it'll feed into the million other songs that you're going to learn. So, down, down, up, down. If somebody didn't already emphasize this, there's this concept of the open strum, which is that when you're going, it's totally legit if that last strum is actually like this. If you're going, that's how normal guitar playing sounds. It would be hard for me to go that fast. So you get 2 split seconds, and then then it just sounds like normal playing. So you were already doing that. That's what we're doing. So song 2 is E power chord. The one that we kind of don't really care about the name of because it's just then I messed with my E chord. C sharp, and like we had C is C sharp, and then an A power chord, which like a regular A power chord got a lot of the same notes in them. So let's do a geography test on those shits. Again, it was like A, I'm doing them in reverse on purpose, C sharp, which is just like, C, blah, whatever, and then E up here, which we like to get that out as like our E chords from the song. So, E, C sharp, and A power chord, E power chord, C sharp power chord, A power chord. Which one's this? Which one's this? Which one's this again? Which one's this? Which one's this? Which one's this? Which one's that? And if you're like at home now and you're like, fuck it, I already memorized them, good. Like there's the good news is like you totally can memorize them. It's just that randomizing and breaking it into small sections and finishing as you go. So that's the majority of what we're doing. Something I didn't talk about during the lesson is how we strum. One thing we noticed was that when you were playing the first position chords, you were holding your pick well, and then when you switched to playing up the neck, that you were tending to use your middle finger. It's legit if you want to use both of them, but we always want it to be primarily like that, and then if you find your other finger helping, that's cool. So here's like, a how do you hold a pick commercial. What you're doing is more extended right now. Not such a big deal. Just kind of do what you feel, as long as it's not drastically different. Cool. So then, the way and this is the only thing that we didn't talk about during the lesson, but I'm bringing up now. The way the guitar looks implies that we move in a much smaller range of motion than we actually do. Like when I'm playing that first G chord in this song, if I'm strumming that, if I line my pickup here and just try to do that, I'm going to hit these strings really loud to be able to hit these strings, you know, just due to the nature of like physics and movement. If I'm trying to go from here to here, that's going to mean that I end up hitting these strings a lot harder. So I don't golf, but my understanding is that you don't hit the ball far by like hitting it hard. It's like this one fluid motion. So that's how we strum. Watch me strum this chord. I'm just going to be going down, up. And we'll see that I'm doing like a wind up to here, and then I'm making it all the way down there. So it's like we're grazing the strings as we come through, and think of it like I'm playing a drum, a percussion instrument, not a harp. So yeah, not right there, but like, and we can do it super slow, like I'm doing. That's all you end up doing, we're psyched. But also, here's an extra song that's the exact same chords we just did in the exact same order, but we're just going to go down 1 and 2. It's down, up, for each chord. And it's going to be like... And this is your chance to get used to that wider range of motion than what seems intuitive. So that's what we're doing, is we're just grazing the strings, starting about here, all the way down there. Not reading your mind, this is the same stuff that everybody does. And with power chords, they are more little calculated motions. That said, there'll be times when you're playing this shape and you're actually hitting all the strings. Just some of them are muted by part of what our hands do. And cool, so there's our third add-on song, which is just going down, up, down, up. And you can just like do this with open strings theoretically, which is what we're really looking at, is the range of motion we use when we're strumming the whole instrument. Alright, you've been guitar listened.